Hello and welcome to our channel. I hope you enjoy our latest video. Our aim is to try and grow as much of our own food as we can, so if you'd like to follow our journey, please use the subscribe button below. I'm just going to give you a seedlings update for the beginning of May, show you how things are going. As always, we're in the greenhouse at home first. So we've got all the peppers that haven't been planted out, the aubergines, so they've all got to go out in the next few weeks. We've got some mustard coming up again, another batch of mustard that was planted on the sowing on the 22nd of April, so they're coming up well. Cold rabbi, they're coming through. So this is the next batch of cabbages coming through. They were planted on the 1st of May, so they're coming on quite well. And these are the Brussels cabbages and cauliflowers that I sowed. I think it was about the 5th of April, I think. So they're coming through quite well. We've got little chili peppers which will go out on the plot as well later on in the month. So they're doing quite well. What amazes me though is these tomatoes. So what I've done, I potted these up in compost from home, and loads of tomatoes coming up from the seeds that are in the compost. So spend all your time growing tomato seedlings and they're popping up everywhere. Doing quite well. So I've got 3 types of cow in here as well, planted on the 22nd of April. They're coming through. The Black Magic, the Curly Cow and the Red Russian. So they're just starting to come through. We've got some greyhound cabbage in there. They're coming through nicely. So we've got 2 lots of outdoor tomatoes. So these were sown a lot later than the greenhouse ones. These were sown on the 25th of March. So I'm bringing them out during the day now to start hardening them off a little bit. So they'll go out onto the plot in say 3 weeks or maybe 2 weeks, depending on the weather conditions in the next couple of weeks. We'll see how it develops. That's the other batch. So we've got cherries here, we've got Romas and we've got money makers. And the sweet corn, they were sown on the 22nd as well, 22nd of April. They're doing really well. We've got the cucumbers. They'll be going out in the next 2 to 3 weeks as well. We've got gherkin, small gherkin ones, and some lemon ones as well. And then we've got 2 lots of pumpkins, butternut squashes, and marrows here as well. Basil. Got quite a lot of basil plants here, so I'm going to give away some to the family as well. We've got 2 lots of. We've got a cinnamon basil and a sweet basil here. They're doing really good. Planted 2 lots of carrots in pots, one there and one over there. That was the second batch. That's the first batch. I'm going to have to thin those out in the next couple of weeks, take out a few and leave a few to develop into larger ones. And the leeks are coming on quite well as well. They're starting to thicken up, doing really well. So this is seedlings part 2. These are the ones down the allotment at the moment. So we've got some tomatoes left over from the ones I planted in the greenhouse. They can go out on the plot in say 2 to 3 weeks depending on the weather. Got some wallflowers I want to plant out here as well in the next week or so. Sunflowers can wait at least a week I think before they go out. And Brussels here, and they'll be going out in week 2 of May. And these onions can go out as well. Cold rabbi, they'll be going out shortly. And we've got peppers, quite a few peppers and chili peppers. We've got loads more at home as well, as you saw earlier. They're going out probably week 3 of May. We've got the parsnips in the toilet rolls. They haven't actually germinated yet. I can't see any come through yet, but we'll give them a bit longer because they always take about 28 days. What else have we got here? We've got some beetroot and endive. They'll be going out onto a plot shortly. They're looking quite healthy and ready to go out soon. So these were planted on the 8th of April. So it's getting on for a month now. Same with the beetroot, I think that was about the 8th of April as well, yeah. So they can go out on the plot in, what I do is I take them out of the modules and put them straight into the ground in little batches like that. And they're okay. parsley and coriander. They're planted on the 8th of April as well. Give them a bit long. I'll leave them another week or so, I think, just get a bit more established, and they can go straight into the plot in their little batches. We've got some tomatoes left on this side as well, which was left over from the amount of ones I planted in the greenhouses. So that's the sort of seedlings update part 2. The grapevine is just starting to come through, as you can see there, looking quite good. Got lots of blossom on the apple tree. That's looking really healthy. So hopefully we get a few apples this year. The fig tree's just starting to develop its leaves. We've covered over the currant bush over there, so that's stopped the birds attacking it. The chives have gone to seed, gone to flower already. They're lovely. They're edible, the flowers. They look really, they taste really nice and peppery. So quite like those, having those in a salad. We've got little plums coming through. You see little plums developing. They're looking good. Right, the parsnips are looking good. Might have to thin those out a week or so. There's sort of 3 or 4 here, some of them, so I'll thin those out once they get a bit more established. The perpetual spinach is looking good. I'll be able to start taking a few leaves off that in the coming weeks. Only a few peas came through, so I'll have to plant some more peas up. But we've got some endive that's grown from seeds that have spread themselves. So at least we get some endive out of that little wet section instead. The onions are looking good. They're coming on well. And the shallots over there. And the garlic's looking quite healthy. Right, the broad beans are just starting to develop now. And a little row of lettuces there, little gems. The endive's looking good. We've got some rocket that I planted from seed just coming through there, and a little row of beetroots. And these are the onions we grew from seed, so they're coming on quite well as well. So we planted up the greenhouse. You might have seen the video earlier on last week, so they're looking quite good. Tomatoes, chili peppers, aubergines and peppers in here. They're coming on quite well, looking good. That's the cauliflower bed. We've had look like we've had an attack of something or other, even though it's covered. That's what I did yesterday. I watered it all with rhubarb insecticide, so hopefully that will stop any more further attacks. Raspberries just coming into flower now. They're looking quite healthy. Lots of new growth there. The artichokes are just starting to develop there, what's called the king head. That's the first one that comes through. And what I do is I'll pick those off in a few weeks' time, and that allows the other ones to develop. Rhubarb patch is looking really good. Been picking that for a few weeks now already. We've got a little fennel patch over here, which is looking quite good. And the goji berries are looking quite healthy as well. So that's plot 59. We'll have a walk up to plot 52 now. This is opposite plot 52, which is beautiful at the moment. Lots of bluebells have come through. This is a little area that's kept as wild. Looks lovely at the moment. So plot 52, the Jerusalem artichokes are coming up now. And these are the first earlies, the rockets. They're developing really well now. So this is the later batch of broad beans we put in. Looks like they've been munched by something. So I'll have to give these a spray with some soapy water, I think, to start with, and see if that helps. I can't actually see any bugs on them. They've been munched away. Could be birds. Strawberry patch is looking really good. Lots and lots of flowers. So we should get a good crop of strawberries this year. We've covered over the gooseberry bushes and the blackcurrant bushes. The apple trees have got lots of bloom on them, they're looking really good, and the cherries. See little cherries coming through. They're starting to develop. Another batch of rhubarb down this end as well, which is looking really quite big. Loganberry starting to come through quite nicely, looking good. More comfrey down this end as well. I'll have to move this bit here, I think now it's getting very close to the Loganberry bushes. Lots of mint around here as well. I've been trying to reduce it, but it just spreads. Sweet peas coming up there. What I'm going to do is earth up the potatoes, which basically means drawing up some soil around the potatoes when they get to about sort of 8 to 9 inches high. And the purpose of that is simply to stop any potatoes that are developing near the surface going green, which people say are poisonous. I'm not sure if they are, but if you draw the soil up above them, it keeps them all nice and compacted and stops any potatoes going green that are near the surface of the plant. So we'll do that first. So what I'll do is I'll loosen up the soil on both sides, and then I'll get the rake out and draw the soil up around the plant. Okay, so that's the first job done. So it's basically drawing the soil around them, and you can do that in stages really. So when they grow a bit more, I'll draw some more soil around them later. Loosen the soil a little bit. Put the poles in. So just tying in the last bean pole. So what we do every autumn is we dig a trench in this area, and we fill it with compost and comfrey leaves, leaf mulch, everything we've got, guinea pig manure, and then we leave it all winter, and then we fill it in as we've done today and put the poles back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant out the first of the climbing beans, which we've got here. These are Blue Lake. So I'll plant these ones in first today, and then we'll start planting successively in the next few weeks. We just keep planting, and so we get a continuous crop all the way through a longer period, rather than plant them all in one go and you get all the beans in one go. So if we try and do it successively, we get a slower bean supply. Got lovely roots come through there. Depending on what part of the country you live in, I mean, we're in the southeast here, so our last frost date has now passed. But if you're in other parts of the country, up north or in Scotland, then you might want to check your last frost date before you plant out anything tender like beans. I'll put a link at the bottom actually, so you can check your last frost date if you want to. That's those in. We'll give those a good watering now. So the next job for week 2 of May is I'm going to plant out these Canadian Wonder French beans, which I sowed on the 8th of April. So I'll just prepare the bed here. Let's move it out a bit. The roots have gone right to the bottom of the pot already. So I'll plant these next to the broad beans about 6 to 8 inches apart. And we'll give these a good thorough watering as well. As I say, these are Canadian Wonder French beans. So that's the last one in, so we'll give those a thorough watering next. week 2 of May. I've got some seedlings here that are ready for planting out. We've got some cold rabbi here, which I planted on the 8th of April, and some spring onions, red spring onions, and some red Amphidosa onions as well. So I've got purple spring onions, red Amphidosa onions. What I'll do is I'll put them in this section here, and that'll fill up this plot here. And what I'll do is I'll just put the whole toilet roll into the soil, and that'll hopefully get away quite well. That's one of that going in. They're 6 to 8 inches apart, and hopefully the toilet roll will just rot away underneath, and they'll carry on developing and grow. Don't need too many of these, but I plant them successionally because I'm the only one who likes eating them, so no point in planting too many. But I love the taste of them, so I'll give those a good water in a minute. And the spring onions, I'll just leave them in their bunches, and I'll get a whole bunch of spring onions all in one go. Give a good firming in, give a good watering. There's one there I can eat. So these are onions, red Amphidosa onions. What I'll do is I'll separate them into little clumps, I think. 2 or 3 I'll leave together. So the next job for week 2 of May, I've prepared the bed here for our first sowings of main crop carrots. I'm using a variety called Early Nonce. So I've pre-watered the rows as well, and I'll try and sow them as thinly as possible, and that avoids lots of pricking out, lots of pulling out of carrots. Gives them a bit more space to grow individual carrots. So I'll try and sow them as thinly as possible. I'll just cover these thinly. I'll give them a little sprinkle on top as well. So these should germinate in sort of 7 to 10 days, hopefully. So next job for the second week of May is I'm going to plant in this bed the Brussels and the mammoth red cabbages. I think these were the Brussels were sown on the 8th of March, and the red cabbages were sown on the 14th of March. So I'll put them into this bed here, and like a nice firm soil. And what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of lime in the bottom of each hole as well, and cover them up with netting. So that's the next job to do. You can see the roots have filled up the whole pot. So what I'll do is I'll plant them a little bit deeper as well. Doesn't matter if they go past the first leaf. And I've already limed the holes. good firming in as well. Brassicas like to be well firmed into the ground. That's it. That's the Brussels and the red cabbages in. We'll give those a good watering next, and then we'll cover it with netting. Okay, so that's the jobs down on the allotment for week 2 of May now completed. Still got some seed sowing to do, so we'll go home and do that at home. See you shortly. So I've pre-prepared all the modules for the seeds for this week, so week 2 of May. So what I've got here is winter cauliflower all year round. I'll just do a little sprinkle of these, not too many, we don't need lots and lots. Sort of 6 to 7 plants or 6 to 8 plants should be enough of those. We've got chard and spinach beet. They take 12 to 20 days to germinate. They should be ready in about 15 weeks. So I'll just sort of give those a good spread out. Should be enough of those. And some perpetual spinach. Same again with those. Oops. Same again with those. Spread those out. So I'll cover all these over. Half-inch covering for the perpetual spinach and the chard, and a quarter, just as light covering for the cauliflower seeds. Firm these down, and these can go into the greenhouse to germinate. That's those done. It's a Romanesco endive, very tiny seed. Just 4 little modules of those, I think. Don't need too many. Lovely in a salad. What should we do with those? So just a light covering on the endive. These take about 3 to 7 days to germinate, and they should be able to start cropping those in about 15 weeks. So beetroot is a variety called Bolt Hardy, so they take about 7 to 10 days to germinate, and they should be ready in about 15 weeks. So what we'll do is we'll plant them successionally, which means every few weeks we'll plant some, which means we get a crop for a longer period rather than the whole lot in one go. So it's nice to have beetroot over a long period during the summer months. They go lovely in salads. So there should be quite a lot there. There should be enough for those. We'll give those a covering and we firm those down. Already been pre-watered. All the modules have been pre-watered already this afternoon, so they're nice and soaked. All Rabbi Delicacy purple into the toilet rolls. As you saw, we planted some out today, so this will be the next batch to come through. And we'll thin those out to 1 or 2. Give those just a thin covering. They take 10 to 12 days to germinate, and they're ready in about 15 weeks. So, same as the beetroot, we successionally plant them. As I'm the only one in the household that eats them, 4 is plenty. So, we're going to do 3 modules of coriander and 3 modules of parsley. We've got 2 types of parsley. We've got an Italian giant flat leaf, and then we've got a curly variety called Moose Kraus 2, and the coriander is just ordinary coriander. So I'll put these in and cover them very thinly and firm those down next. So that's one curly one, and 2 flat leaf parsleys. Just very thinly cover these. Coriander a little bit more because they're a much larger seed, as you can see. And these take about 14 to 21 days to germinate. They're very slow at germinating. But these can all go into the greenhouse. That's that lot done. So 2 varieties of summer spinach as well I'm doing. One's the Matador and one's a giant winter, and they take about 15 to 21 days to germinate. They're very slow at germinating. And these are proper spinaches as opposed to the chard and perpetual, which are part of the beet family. And this is the Matador. Spread these out. So these can go in this greenhouse as well, and either plant them straight out when they grow, or if I need to I'll prick them on. The final thing is peas in guttering, which I can then push into the soil when they've germinated. I'll show you the ones I've done already in a moment. They're in the garden. What I'll do is I'll move all these into the greenhouse. I'm actually going to put a few basil plants into the greenhouse. These are the ones that were left over when I transplanted and pricked out the others. So I'm going to put a few of them into the greenhouse now. Just a quick show of the peas I planted earlier. They planted in gutters as well, so they're in the garden here at home with the lettuces. I've had to cover over the lettuces with some wire because we had a fox come along and start digging holes a few nights ago, so cover them over and put some prickly cuttings as well there. I think I'm just going to leave them in clumps, and we'll get some sort of crop out of it. I'll tie them to these sticks tomorrow. Get those in there and give them a good watering tonight, and they should be okay. I've got 2 types of basil here. One's the cinnamon basil and one's the sweet basil. I'll just chuck them in here. We can crop them as we need them as well. That's it. So that's all the jobs for week 2 of May. Got a few more things to do. As you've seen, I've got to do some more pricking out, but that's a roundup of the jobs for week 2 of May. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give us a like, leave us some comments or suggestions, and if you want to see what week 3's got in store for you, subscribe below. Thank you very much for watching. Happy gardening.